Hey everybody, how are you doing? Hope you're having a great start to your week. I am Dave, and a bit of a departure from my normal content. I thought I would do a commentary video on this controversy around Bambu Lab printers. Kind of jumping on the bandwagon here, but that's how the internet works. So I want to share my thoughts on that, since a lot of my content revolves around 3D printing, and I oftentimes get asked about, what 3D printers would I recommend to like a newcomer to 3D printing, to the hobby, or to using it as a tool in their workshop for making stuff. So if you're not aware of the latest controversy, let's take a look here. So this was announced back on January 16th. Firmware update introducing new authorization control system. Authorization control system. Like right away you can just, it just has that stench of this like corporate speak where they're just using, kind of like using big words just to sound like it's authoritative and meaningful and something that you really need to be concerned with, and it's really important to you. So the first part here starts out, as part of our ongoing commitment to enhance the overall security of our products, we are introducing an authorization and authentication protection mechanism for the connection and control of Bambu Lab 3D printers. This step is a significant security enhancement to ensure only authorized access and operations are permitted. Bullshit. So, security, they love to throw out, companies that want to take control of your devices and tell you what you can and cannot do with the hardware that you've purchased, love to use this word security. Oh, enhanced security. Security has never been a problem with 3D printers in the consumer, hobby 3D printing space. This is not something that's like, nobody's hacking into your printer and printing gun parts or dildos on your printer, right? Nobody's hacking into your printer and then getting access to your personal details, right? Oh, except for now companies like Bambu Labs, which have now you have to make an account, and then they have your personal info on your email address and phone numbers, and they're the ones. So it's they're the ones that have created this security ecosystem with their proprietary hardware and software. So the security is on their end, it shouldn't be something on your end. If you have a 3D printer and it's connected to your local network that you use for transferring files from, G-code files from your computer to the printer to start printing, which I do, and probably a lot of people do it. That's a really great way to do it really quickly. You don't even have to like fiddle around with plugging in an SD card or whatever. It's on your local network, and you're almost certainly going to be behind a hardware router, which gives you security by default. So it's really just their proprietary services where, security could be any kind of a concern. And that's a problem that they created, right? So it's like they created their own problem by having these proprietary things that we don't need, and then locking them down, and then deciding they need, security. But of course, that is mostly bullshit. And the real reason for doing this is to lock down the printers so that you're not going to be able to use third-party software and third-party hardware and be able to use your machine the way you want it when you bought it. On top of that, they're doing this after the fact, right? Changing the terms of the sale after the sale by forcing you to rely on their proprietary software and hardware. This is a further step of anti-consumer and anti. It's just anti to the market that consumer level 3D printing came out of, which was the open source movement. The Bambu Lab exists as a company because the community developed these techniques and tools and hardware and software to be able to make 3D printing accessible, and now they live in this locked down, they want to make this locked down ecosystem. So I've always been reluctant to recommend their printers because of that. Furthermore, to what degree, I don't know if this is true, let me know down in the comments that you need an app to set up the device. Probably you need an app to connect it to the cloud or whatever to use the cloud services, but out of the box, you should not ever have to use an app to set up a device. That to me is an absolute no-go. I know at least at one point, from what I've heard, this was changed, but at one point that was the case for DJI cameras, just like their little action camera that has all the buttons on the camera that you need. But you turn the camera on for the first time and it says waiting to connect to the app. So I can't even use my device that I bought until I install your app and set up an account. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, every app that you install on your phone, right? Our phones are our whole lives now. You have your bank, you have your crypto. If you're into crypto, you have all of your messages, all of your private messages and photos. Our whole lives are on our phones, and so every app that you install, has the potential to access data that's on your phone. And so we really should be striving to install as few apps as possible. Sometimes apps are great, for sure. Sometimes they are not, or they can be great, but then have larger privacy concerns. When you wonder about why am I getting emails or why am I getting unsolicited phone calls, how does this company know that I live here, so on and so forth, or like oh my gosh, all of a sudden now my Facebook account has been hacked. Well, it hasn't been hacked, right? Your data has gotten stolen or sold through some broker, and part of that is because you can have apps on your phone getting your information. So yes, so we make privacy concessions for service, and is the service worth it? I don't want to sound like I'm some privacy expert or it's the most important thing for me. Of course, I have Google. Even if you have an Android or an Apple phone, you're already giving your data to these companies. But Google Maps, of course, in order to be able to use Google Maps, Google has to know where you are at all times, and that's a major potential privacy issue. But this service is really great, right? I mean, Google Maps is awesome. It tells you where to go. You get there, and it directs you, gives you directions and traffic, all that stuff. But we make that concession because we get a really valuable service out of it. Google's Maps service is very valuable. Bambu Lab printer services, sure, some of the cloud features can be nice, like being able to remotely monitor your printer, although you don't need proprietary services for that. Those things are nice, but is it necessary to give up privacy rights and let them have control over your device that you've purchased? Maybe it is to you. It's not to me. Particularly because it's not necessary. We don't need any of this. We don't need proprietary cloud services for 3D printers. One of the points with app privacy is, not that your data is getting out there, but that you don't know if these companies are trustworthy. And even if they are super trustworthy, companies get hacked all the time, bro. Your data gets leaked because a company can be super trustworthy and absolutely honest and not wanting to sell your data or whatever, but companies get hacked all the time. And that's another way that your data gets out there. It gets on the dark web, gets sold through data brokers. There's a lot of potential issues with that. So minimizing cloud services and apps is definitely something we should strive to do. A 3D printer should be local by default, and then add on cloud services if you desire. And you can charge for the cloud services, right? I mean, that's if you're giving some great cloud services, being able to remotely monitor your printer is I actually do pay for that through Obico. So that's a good service to have. But requiring cloud services from the beginning and a device to be connected to the internet and an account in order just to use it is not right. And I strongly recommend against all products like that if possible. So of course, Bambu Lab has then issued an update to the backlash, and reading through this, that these claims are entirely false. So they're saying there's misinformation going around there. So these claims are entirely false. Bambu Lab will remotely disable your printer, and firmware updates will block your printer's ability to print. Okay, with this update, but because of the way this company is operated, and the way a lot of companies are operating these days, that is not necessarily going to be always the case. And if I have to install a firmware update when I buy a brand new printer, if I have to use an app to set up a printer, and I don't agree to their terms of service, then effectively you have bricked my printer, because I don't need to or want to use an unnecessary app that shouldn't be necessary, or have an account, an online account to use a local device. AMS functionality will be restricted, and the use of third-party filament disabled. AMS is their multiple filament swapping system. And okay, I believe you, Bambu Lab. For now, with this update, sure as the world they want to be able to block the access of third-party filament. This is the way the 3D printing industry operated before the open source community developed the 3D printing industry. The reason we have such a vast marketplace with competitive pricing on materials, on filaments, is because of the open source nature. It's a spool. The spool is this big. They're usually 1 kilogram. The filament diameter is 1.75 millimeters. That goes in every printer. You can buy any material you want from any company. It goes in your printer. But for sure, because the AMS functionality has the RFID tag reading device in there, that it absolutely wants to limit your ability to print by material only from Bambu Lab. The same way that HP printers or other 2D flat printers restrict you on ink cartridges. So okay, fine, I believe you for now. But says they want to get to they would love to get to a state where you can only use, and or if the open marketplace for filament didn't exist, that they would absolutely want to put RFID tags and restrict so that you're only going to be able to buy and use their filament. That's very bad for the industry, very bad for the consumer. Bambu Lab firmware contains Trojans or backdoors for unauthorized remote control. Yeah, that sounds like just some silliness. Although, if you're connecting it to their servers and these connections are encrypted, which the log files are encrypted, you can't see what they're doing. Who knows what the hell? So, unauthorized control. So like other, hackers. But Bambu Lab, the company, are they unauthorized control? The printers have a timed kill switch that disables them after a certain period. That's silly. I don't know who's claiming that. Yeah, okay. Fine, that doesn't exist. I believe you there. All 3D printed files are monitored, duplicated, or stolen. I don't know about all 3D printed files, but if I'm uploading my files to your cloud services, so even if you're really true about that we're not if Bambu Lab really cares about their customers' privacy of their data that they upload to the cloud. What happens when you get hacked? And lastly, a subscription will be mandatory to use your printer. Not yet. Not yet. But they want you to charge you a monthly subscription. How long until you can just imagine the world, and you just know they want to have they want to be the company that restricts your filament usage and then sells you a subscription to filament. $100, $99 a month, all the PLA you can melt. But you have to buy it from us. So, and then there's some other stuff. So they backtracked and said, we're implementing an optional LAN mode feature. Why is that? Like you've broken it by making your system proprietary. And then we're going to add advanced developer mode. Like you didn't. That already existed on every 3D printer ever since 2000 and what was it 15? The first RepRap when the first Prusa's came out. Like there was never they're acting like they added something. Like, oh, we did it. Like, no, but that shouldn't be a thing. Like, it's already been a thing. You just broke it and then re-added it in as a band-aid. Go, look, we're good. See? Come on. And the other thing to point out about the Panda Touch, this I find kind of amusing. The Panda Touch, if you guys don't know, is it's a like a little wireless display, touchscreen display from Big Tree Tech, so you can remotely control your Bambu Lab printers with like a handheld device. Kind of neat. I suppose if you had like a print farm or something with a bunch of printers, then it could be useful. We reached out to Big Tree Tech, BTT, as soon as we became aware of their product. This has been out for, I don't know, a year or so now. We warned them that using exploited MQTT protocols was unsustainable and would place customers in an awkward situation once we updated the system. So this is kind of, yeah, it's kind of on Big Tree Tech, right? Like, if you release a product, really just releasing any third-party product for, closed source system like Bambu Lab printers, you're just at the mercy of, whenever they decide to change things, now your product is completely useless, and your customers that bought the product are going to be mad because they have a bunch of e-waste. But interesting that they point out that it's that Bambu says they're using exploited MQTT protocols. I don't really know what that MQTT protocols are, and exploited, like, is that like, so it's like it's literally hacking the device? No, I don't think so. Yeah, they're kind of throwing shade at them there, but it is also kind of Big Tree Tech's fault. Yeah, I kind of like don't feel for them on this either, right? Because releasing any third party, clearly releasing third party products and upgrades for, or software integration for these printers is, you're at the mercy of what they decide to change, and it'll break your thing. So that's it. I don't know if I have anything really unique to say about that other commenters may have already said. I just want to share my thoughts. In the past, I've been hesitant to recommend Bambu Lab printers to people. Now I'm not hesitant at all. I just outright will just never mention them. I think maybe some YouTubers and some people in the 3D printer space are kind of, sort of a wait and see mentality towards, how they're going to operate. I think it's just been clear from the beginning with this company that this is how they how they see the industry and their products and their customers, and I don't think that I don't think they're compatible with what the 3D printing industry should be, in my opinion. So I definitely will not recommend Bambu Lab printers to anybody ever again. I don't think that's going to be the thing. So what would I recommend instead? I suppose maybe some value that I can give to you is to talk about alternatives. And the first alternative that comes to mind is the Creality K1 series of printers. Now, I do know there's definitely an irony in harping on Bambu Lab and then going, oh, you should buy from this company, Creality. And like, they're kind of an adjacent company, and they've been in the 3D printer space for longer, and I think have more of demonstrated maybe more of a respect for the industry and open standards than Bambu Lab. But, if they were in a different situation, would they want to operate the same as Bambu Lab? Maybe. They do have a cloud services thing. You're not forced into it the way Bambu Lab is. These printers run Clipper, which is the open source, like, does it all amazing firmware that I really love. Now, it is, of course, it's a trimmed down and simplified version of Clipper. It's kind of a stupefied version, maybe you can say, but it can be unlocked without too much effort. And as far as I know, as far as I've seen, the company Creality doesn't, they don't put any effort into, trying to restrict you from doing that and updating the firmware so that you can't do that, or or something along those lines. I have had a bit of experience with, I'm pretty sure we had the K1 at a company that I worked at. I can absolutely recommend this printer. It was really great. It was pretty much the take it out of the box, plug it in, turn it on, and it just works 3D printer that we kind of are, expect to see these days. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty darn good. And and for the price, $389 at that price is totally a no-brainer. It is showing out of stock on their website right now, but I'm sure you can find them somewhere. So for $389, if I had to just go, if I holy crap, I need another printer right now to do a big job or something, I would not hesitate to buy one of these. It's got the enclosure, it's got decent cooling. It's just an overall pretty good quality product, and that's not what Creality has been known for. Creality has been the bottom of the barrel, bargain brand for a long time. But their newer line of printers, I think they're definitely have upped their game. They've certainly used their market share and their influence and the money that they've made to improve the quality of their products, and so I think you'd be quite happy with this printer. You can buy this printer and use it right away. You can unlock the full clipper, customize it, turn it into your own. They do use proprietary hot-ends, which I don't like, but because it's open source nature, you can modify it and change things to your desire. So, and if you want to use cloud services, they had cloud services. You're not forced into it. So that's a great printer for the price. Of course, there's still Prusa, and now we're talking more than double the price for the Prusa Core 1. This is a new product which is supposed to start shipping. New orders March 2025. So these should start shipping, and I think we'll probably start seeing review units. I don't think I've seen any reviews of these yet, so I think probably reviewers have not gotten their hands on this printer yet. This is probably going to be outstanding. It's from Prusa. Obviously, this is more of a luxury. They're kind of more of a luxury brand now compared to the likes of Creality. And then, of course, there's the Trudon series from Formbot. These printers are outstanding. This is definitely the level of printer for more of the enthusiast hacker person that doesn't mind trial and error and troubleshooting and upgrading and tweaking things. But what you get out of this is basically a fully open source printer. All of these components can be they do use. Technically, they use proprietary hardware in here. The CAD files are available, and you can switch the proprietary hardware out for non-proprietary printed parts, because this is a clone, basically, of a Voron, which is entirely open source. So everything about this printer can be serviced and modified and changed and upgraded, and it is in no way locked down to anybody. This is 100% yours, and you decide how you want the software to work. And this will do everything that a Bambu Lab printer does, just as good, and it looks cooler, and you can put RGB lights in there. And my printer, I have my printer running right now, and I was just looking at my print stats on here. I've had this printer for a little less than a year, and total print time of 865 hours and 40 minutes. 865 hours is hard for me to comprehend, what that actually means. How many days is that? I guess I can't do math in my head, right? And the longest print I've had on this printer is 16 hours, 22 minutes, which I think I just did last night. I think I just did that one last night. So filament used 3,848 meters of filament. I don't know how much filament is on a 1 kilogram roll typically, but in any case, I can highly recommend these. It's definitely going to be a little bit more effort to get up and running. And so if you're new to 3D printing, maybe that's not the best option. But if you're new to 3D printing, but you're not afraid of, tweaking and modifying, and especially if you're used to playing with things like Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and code and uploading firmwares and building robots, whatever, that type of gadgetry, you'll pick that up you'll pick that up in no time, and then you'll be really glad that the level of control and things that you can do with that, I think you'll be really happy with. So, and they've got this one, and then they've got the smaller one. the Mini, the Trudon 2.0 Pro Mini for $600. That would be great. I'd love to have another one of these. I guess it's $660 in the U.S. to get one shipped from the U.S. Yeah, I guess I should say if I was going to buy another 3D printer, I would probably buy one of these. Really be great to have. But this requires a non-trivial amount of assembly out of the box, and not necessarily trivial setup and configuration with Clipper to get it running the way you want it. So this would be a little bit more money and definitely some time to set up and get using versus the Creality printer. So anyways, there's options. There's options out there. So anyways, that's my thoughts on this latest bit of controversy from Bambu Lab 3D printers. I just want to end by saying that let's please not have any tribalism mentality in the community. Any of the hate or the bad vibes are directed at the company and not at individuals. If you have a Bambu Lab printer and it's working for you, that's awesome. I think that's great, and you're awesome for having a 3D printer and printing stuff, and you're making stuff with it and you're using it. That's great, and I definitely acknowledge that the product is terrific and they have changed the 3D printing industry by becoming as close to as like a turnkey, it just works solution for 3D printing as you can really get. It's just disappointing that their business practices are these anti-competitive measures that really we have no space for in the 3D printing industry. Be kind to each other, and we should get these companies to treat us the way consumers should be treated. But we'll, in the meantime, we'll support each other. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. I'll have some more content coming for you soon.